Hello, welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. We're back today with the newest Marvel movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I know it's been a while again, but there hasn't been as much since the end of August for movies. I have some stuff coming up in September, and then in October we have, once again, CinemaBurger's 13 Nights of Halloween. But I'll get to that in a later video. So let's talk about Shang-Chi. It's the first Marvel movie that dives into more Chinese and Asian culture. It has a predominantly Asian cast, and it stars Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Tony Luang, Michelle Yeoh, and Ben Kingsley. Now, Shang-Chi is based on the comic book Masters of Kung Fu, which I haven't read, but I would like to. It started in the 70s. And it's about Shang-Chi, whose father was technically a warlord who was about 1,000 years old. He found these 10 rings, which have powers and stuff, and his father's used them for evil, and it was consumed with power. So basically, Shang-Chi's father is trying to find his long-lost mother who died, but the father thinks the mother is still alive. There's this other world called Ta Lo. It's another, like, dimension where the mother was from, and they're trying to get there and destroy it, basically. So Shang-Chi has to stop. So first off, let me say that this is the most radically and tonally different Marvel movie in the MCU. Now, it is essentially it's a Chinese action fantasy movie, kind of like The Monkey King or like Forbidden Kingdom, type of things like that. But it's nice to see that in the MCU. You almost kind of forget that this is in the MCU until the end and stuff, but the action scenes are great. They're amazingly choreographed. Simu Liu does his own stunts. Awkwafina is really funny. She is great comic relief, and she even has some good action moments. Now, if you remember from Iron Man 3, they teased the Mandarin, but the actual Mandarin was fake, and they have the real Mandarin in this movie, who in the Iron Man comics had the 10 rings. I won't get into their origins because that's kind of a plot point, I guess, but in terms of the 10 rings themselves, people wear them on their arms like gauntlets. It's funny because in the backgrounds, Shang-Chi of his room as a child has a poster for Kung Fu Hustle, which, if you've ever seen that, it's from Stephen Chow. There's a guy who works at a laundromat who fights off invaders, and he has, like, laundry rings on his arms, so that's kind of funny. But, they hang on your arms, people can, like, shoot them off and throw them around, but the fight scenes are clever with how they use the rings. Like, they use them as energy balls, they, like, run on them. It's amazing. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Like I said, it reminded me of those Chinese action fantasy movies, which I love. There's even an actor from Kung Fu Hustle in there, in this movie. Now, of course, if you remember also, the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3, played by Ben Kingsley, shows up again, which I didn't remember if I knew beforehand, but it was a nice surprise. And he had a decently big role in the movie, but he was good comic relief. And also, this movie's about 2 hours and 12 minutes long, minus credits or with credits, but doesn't feel like it, honestly. Because it has a good pacing and it's entertaining. The action is good, and the scenes in between the action are also fun. Yeah, I won't get too much more into the plot, but like, you really feel bad for the bad guy, and the bad guy kind of realizes the error of his ways in a way. Like, that really doesn't ruin anything, but there's a lot of elements in this movie that kind of remind me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, to the flying and kind of like airbending scenes. Like, they're not airbending, but it kind of is. To the different types of animals in the realm of Ta Lo, kind of reminds me of like Appa and things like that. So at one point I wanted to say Appa Yip Yip to some of these creatures, but it's highly recommended. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is playing in theaters now, exclusively. I highly recommend seeing it in theaters. I think this may be one of the first or second movies that I give a 5 out of 5 burgers. I really don't have anything negative to say about this, and even if I really like a movie, I always try to find some criticism, but I really can't find any in this. So yeah, 5 out of 5 burgers. Go see it. Alright, we'll be back soon with some other movies. We got more movies in the second half of September coming up. But I'm Scott Berger, and I'll see you next time.